Good afternoon, folks. What's happening? Welcome back to the channel. It's the starting 11 prediction for tomorrow's Scottish Cup semi-final at Hampden for the chance to play Aberdeen in the Scottish Cup final on the 25th of May. It's Easter weekend. We're only 2 or 3 games from a potential 9th domestic treble. What more could you ask for? Maybe a wee bit better weather, but we'll see if we get that tomorrow. Before we look ahead to the game, first of all, just a wee bit of an apology. I know it's been Celtic Fans TV blackout in between games during the weeks, the last maybe 3 or 4 weeks. I've just got a lot going on in terms of work and stuff, so hopefully as we move towards some of the bigger games between now and the end of the season, we can bring you some more midweek content to keep you going. As I say, tomorrow, really looking forward to 3 o'clock kickoff at Hampden. Easter Sunday, it should be a brilliant atmosphere. And I think the fact that St Johnstone beat us just a fortnight ago gives the game a bit of an extra edge, as if we need it, as if the players need it. I always think these sort of things are played down in the media, of course, but I think when a team has beaten you recently, the next time you go out to play against them, you've got that extra bit of desire to go and get revenge and to beat them. And I think tomorrow the players should have that intensity and that desire back that like we didn't have at McDermott Park. To their credit, listen, I think from minute one last weekend against Kilmarnock, we did show a good reaction. I think all the things to like about how Celtic have played this season were there. We really pinned Kilmarnock back. The pace we moved the ball at, the intensity we played with, the desire was there. Brendan Rodgers has talked a lot about the mental approach to games recently in terms of the players getting that right and not turning up just thinking they can have an easy game. And opponents will just roll over. I think last week had all the hallmarks of the good Celtic performances we've come to expect this season, and those have been lacking in the last 4 to 6 weeks, as we've talked about at length. So tomorrow, with everything on the line in a big semi-final at Hampden, I expect the players to be right up for it and be right at it from minute one tomorrow. The big pitch at Hampden will help us. Brendan Rodgers again has talked a lot about the psychology of going to Hampden. Since he's come in, we've been impeccable at that venue. I think we've played 14 games at Hampden under Brendan Rodgers and we've won all 14 of them. So it's a remarkable record, and let's hope we can keep it going tomorrow. But the game will boil down to our approach to it, and if we can play our football at the right intensity from kick-off, you expect us to go and win the game and set up that showpiece against Aberdeen at the end of the season. In terms of other things happening away from the pitch this week, we had the split fixtures confirmed. Rangers obviously get that dramatic late equaliser at Pittodrie last weekend to keep it going, to move only 15 points behind us. So we will go to Tannadice next weekend with an opportunity to win the title. I mean, it's 15 points in it, 15 points to play for. I think the goal difference is about 40 in our favour, so it's just a formality really. It'd be nice to go and do it in style at Tannadice next weekend. That is one of my favourite away grounds in the country, so really looking forward to that. Then we've got the away game at Ibrox and then home to Hibs before we end away at Pittodrie, and then Trophy Day against St Mirren, who sneaked into the top 6 last weekend. Trophy Day against them at Celtic Park on the final day. But that's it for the league talk just now. It's all Scottish Cup action tomorrow. And I suppose the other thing off the pitch this week was the videos of Idah, which I suppose we can circle back to when we come to picking the team. But it's never great to see something like that. I do see it for both sides. It doesn't look brilliant for Idah himself. He did have a night off and then a day off on Thursday though. So it's difficult to really be too hard on him. He is a young guy. It is a shame that someone like him can't go out without people that he doesn't know or that he's just met that night trying to video him. And then, of course, it grows arms and legs and it ends up all over social media. I suppose that's a difficult balance for a young footballer. It's difficult to expect, particularly young players, to never, ever make a single mistake. I think he'll learn from it. And it'll be interesting to see whether Brendan Rodgers picks him for the starting 11 tomorrow. Listen, I think Brendan Rodgers dealt with it well in the press conference yesterday. I think he said that Idah phoned him, which I think is a good way of tackling it for Idah when he woke up on Thursday. I'm sure it's better to go and address it with the manager than let him find out and then him have to come and talk to you. So I thought Brendan Rodgers handled it really well, and he might well have been a bit more harsh on Idah than he was responding to it in the press conference yesterday. But I think he's right to highlight the difficulty of constantly living your life in the eye of the media and in the eye of people trying to film you when you're just out on any given night. So that's enough of that. Let's get to the lineup for tomorrow. He did make some changes last week, Brendan Rodgers. We thought there might be a few across the pitch. And like I say, he got the reaction that he wanted. We were absolutely scintillating in that first half against Kilmarnock. So it will be Sinisalo continuing in goals. Casper not back yet. We're not even at the stage where Brendan Rodgers is really earmarking a potential game to return. When the news first confirmed of the injury, it looked like his season was over. I wonder if he'll just sneak back in towards the end of the season, the likes of Trophy Day, the Scottish Cup final. Will he be back in contention for those games? We'll have to wait and see. Back four, Johnstone, Carter, Vickers, Scales and Taylor. That was the back four last week. I think I might have put Nawrocki in, did I? Brendan Rodgers made a comment in yesterday's press conference about Dane Murray in terms of he was maybe in pole position to start the Rangers game before he had a slight niggle with his knee. And I think that statement tells you exactly everything you need to know about the future of Mike Nawrocki at Celtic. I expect Scales to start tomorrow on the basis of the strength of last weekend's performance and the uncertainty around Trusty. Wouldn't necessarily surprise me to see Trusty come back in. I think that's really up in the air, that position, that left centre half position. Toss a coin, but I think it'll be Scales tomorrow. Greg Taylor, I expect to keep his place after a brilliant performance last weekend. I think he picked up some really good pockets in the first half. He is so comfortable going into midfield. It was a hallmark of the Postecoglou era. He's done it to great effect here and there under Brendan Rodgers, but maybe not as regularly as he did under Ange. But I thought last weekend he was really, really good in that first half and definitely done enough to keep his place tomorrow in the team. Midfield, McGregor, Hatate and Engels. Hatate was one who I thought would drop out last weekend. He didn't. He got a double. He broke the deadlock with an absolute screamer into the top right-hand corner. He had a really good performance all round. You thought he could maybe have got a hat-trick if we'd maybe created some more chances in that second half, but a really good performance, so he'll keep his place this weekend, you would expect. And Engels, we know that 3 is Brendan Rodgers' preferred choice in that position. Just a wee bit concerned about Paulo Bernardo. I don't know why he didn't come off the bench at St Johnstone in the 1-0 defeat, and he didn't come off the bench last weekend against Kilmarnock either. I don't know if he's had a setback. I'd actually, if I was at any of the recent press conferences, I'd like to ask Brendan Rodgers, actually, has he had a setback in his injury, rehab, or coming back from that spell that he was out, because you'd expect him to be involved, especially off the bench at some point in either of the last 2 games, and he hasn't had a look in. So just wonder where that's at for Bernardo, but I don't think there's any doubt that'll be the 3 in midfield tomorrow. Front 3 was where we saw some big decisions last weekend. I think James Forrest done more than enough to keep his place in the team. We only got maybe 65 minutes out of him, as you would expect. He was out for a long time after the cup final with that ankle injury, and we know that having not played a lot of football at this stage of his career, he's never going to come back into the team and play 90 minutes back to back or anything like that. I think tomorrow he's definitely going to keep his place. He linked up really well with Alistair Johnstone. He showed good intelligence in the game. Again, picking up really good spaces. His movement was really good. Played some lovely 1-2s. I think he's really adapted that. I think as he's got older and older, James Forrest, he's really matured in terms of how he uses the ball and how he picks up space. It's not just all about pace anymore as it maybe was in his younger years. And I think he's done more than enough to keep his place. I just think Kuhn's performances that we've talked about maybe haven't quite been at the level recently. And after last weekend's performance, I don't think there's any justification for taking James Forrest out. It'll be interesting to see what Brendan Rodgers does, though. Left-hand side, I'm going Jota, and through the middle, I'm going Dyson Maeda. I know that at McDermott Park a couple of weeks ago, he was really ineffective. Dyson, it's probably one of the most ineffective games that he's had this season, particularly in the last 4 or 5 months. Really couldn't affect the game at all, had a poor outing. But I think at Hampden, on the big pitch, we're going to go and try and play with intensity from minute 1. And I think he's key to that. I think Idah, regardless of the off-the-field stuff this week, I think Dyson just gives us a better intensity with and without the ball, and he poses that threat in behind St Johnstone, and you know that St Johnstone are not going to have the majority of the ball tomorrow, and they may well defend deep and try and restrict the space for us, but I do think whenever they are on it and they are trying to play out here and there, St Johnstone, I think having Dyes in there on that big space at Hampden will really help us. So there you go. That's 11 I think the manager will go with tomorrow. You can let me know who you think will start in the comments below. Please like the video, and we'll see you after the game with the full-time reaction tomorrow, wherever you're watching it. Enjoy it. Cheers.